I'm now going to create a little bit different of a series, which I'm going to introduce now and then talk a little bit about it. And I'll probably be doing different segments on each guy. You know, Danny Britterett was recently on his Facebook page, was talking about the late great Ambassador Dom Famularo. I thought it was pretty cool. So I'm kind of borrowing the idea from him. But what I'm going to do, and I'm eventually going to do a playing commentary thing where I'm going to analyze different performances of different people while they're performing and do commentary on that. But that's not what I'm going to do here. It wouldn't be a good place to do it here at the gym. By the way, I'm on the treadmill, for those of you that are wondering. I joke around about people, I tell them I'm on a horse, but not really. But this has to do with the great drummers of our time that have influenced me tremendously and why each one of them were great. So I'm going to do different guys on each particular segment and talk briefly about my experiences in watching them and seeing them, if I saw them in concert, and a little bit about each one. So I want to start off with a guy that doesn't really get a lot of credit, and it goes back really to the very beginning, and that was the late great Baby Dodds. I found out that now most of you probably didn't hear of him, but he really should have been more recognized. I really don't know if Modern Drummer ever did a piece on him. If they didn't, they probably should have. And I don't know if Drum Magazine ever did. I really don't know, because I never kept up on every issue, especially during the period of time where I wasn't playing. But Baby Dodds, unfortunately, I misquoted. I think he passed away in 1957. So it was I never got a chance really to see him perform, because by the time when I was drumming, it was a little bit later in history. And but Baby Dodds was the original drummer from the Hot Seven, and which is kind of an interesting thing, because I'm performing to a lot of that music now. But what Baby did in the very early stages of the Hot Seven, back in those days, from what I was told, I don't think that the trap drum set was invented yet. I'm not sure when they actually invented the first bass drum with the first beater. If there's anybody out there that knows that, I'd be really interested in knowing who was the first to invent that. In other words, the beater on the bass drum. There were bass drums, many, many years before the actual foot bass drum was invented, but those were mounted bass drums in the marching band and in the orchestra. Then, of course, you had snare drum, cymbals. So the stuff that Baby did on some of those early tracks were little cymbal clamps, things like that, played on washboards. No, maybe not washboards. I know he definitely played around on some kind of a temple block kind of a thing. And there was one recording where I think he played around on bottles of water, and he was using mallets or something. Sounded like that. I'm not sure what it was. And he would do these little cymbals. You can hear some of those cymbal clamps in some of the music that I recorded to, that I added drums to. You'll also notice that on recordings where Baby started playing the drum set, because eventually he evolved into playing the drum set on the later Hot Seven things, I stayed away from those recordings. I didn't think that I really wanted to play over his genius. But I did add a lot of things. And there's one film, I think it was called Classic Drum Solos. My buddy Mitch has it, and I got to get him to remake it for me, because unfortunately I lost that. But it was footage on Baby. It was sort of the first instructional drum video. Maybe on YouTube, maybe. I don't know. I'll let you guys know. And he kind of talked a little bit about playing and stuff and set interpretations. So definitely, and then there was how I really got introduced to Baby Dodds was, and I still have this recording, all right, Chris, the guy I'm working with now, had to write a cassette recording of one of the college stations here on Long Island. It might have been Hofstra, and they had a tribute to Baby Dodds. And I have this recording, and he's playing on drum set. You know, it's definitely after he evolved into the actual drum set with hi-hat, cymbals, toms, and it is really unbelievable right, what he was doing. And it was a really echoey sound. I guess in those days, right, they used a big hall or something right, to record those. Sounded right like they may have recorded those things. See, I don't know if they had echo back then or reverb, but sounded right like it was recorded in like a big auditorium. Sometimes those places were the greatest places to play because they had that natural echo that the actual room itself created. You didn't have to put that on. Today, right, you could do anything with the sound. So Baby Dodds, he's the first one that I would definitely suggest you find anything on if you can. If you research enough of the Hot 7 stuff, Baby did a lot of drumming with Louis Armstrong. I'm not sure if he played on Hello Dolly. I don't think he did. I think that was like before that. Because Louis Armstrong sort of got commercial. And that was cool. It was a different Louis Armstrong when he started to get like more, he became like more of a television celebrity. But in the early days of the Hot 7, that music was smoking. And Baby Dodds was a big part of that. So, Baby Dodds. Find anything you can about him. And I think that that'll really be helpful. Especially in terms of the way he used some of his percussion, because he kind of did some cool things. You know, particularly like sound effects and different cymbal things, and he really made it groove. But he never put the really swinging drum beats to the early stuff that I put on. I felt like I was called to do that. And I'm doing that, and it's pretty cool. So, that's why I mentioned Baby Dodds. So, I'm going to come back around and do another one as I take a break. And thank you.